This movie is going to look at the new Multistamp tool that has been added to Vectorworks Architect Australia and New Zealand 12.5. The tool can be found in the annotation tool set. This is the tool here, and it's been primarily added to do door and window numbers using Windor and to produce schedules from that, but it actually has a lot of other uses as well, and we'll have a look at those in this introductory movie. There will be a series of movies on this tool, and you'll be able to get an idea of how it all works and how you can set it up for your own purposes from the movies. Looking up here, this is the insert mode. This is how you create a multi-stamp on the drawing. You can edit a multi-stamp by clicking this button in the mode bar, then clicking on the multi-stamp, or you can simply double click the multi-stamp. You can create or edit a link because multi-stamps can be linked with objects on the drawing. Then you can use this button to edit or create a link. You can use this button to delete a link. Because multi-stamps can be linked to objects, you have the option to add a single or double leader line to them, or no leader line. You also have a dialog to update stamp objects, because stamp objects can do lots of different things. They can become out of date if they're reporting perimeter or area or date or time, or it's a counter or something like that. So you have the option to update them, and of course there's the preferences dialog. Let's begin by clicking this button and just choosing the first stamp in the list here. We're provided a series of example stamps, I guess, in the default content folder, in libraries defaults folder, and apart from the door IDs, which are these four here, and the window IDs, these four here, most of the others are really just to give you an idea of some things that the stamp tool can do. I'm expecting that most users will combine the functionality of some of these different stamps into things that suit their own purposes. Let's go with the date and time stamp to start with. This part of the dialog here shows you what the stamp contains. This is a preview of the stamp. It's just a simple rectangle that's divided in two. It has two text fields. The first text field is going to display the date, and the second text field is going to display the time. One of the other features of this tool is that you can make the same stamp scale dependent, so that one version of the stamp or the stamp will display differently depending on the scale that the drawing is at. This is identical for both versions, so there's no difference between these two previews. Let's just click OK, and we don't want a leader line with this stamp, so we'll choose no leader line, and we'll just click on the drawing, and you'll see that the date and time have been inserted. Let's go on to another stamp. Let's go to, say, the file name stamp. This is just a simple box with a label at the top, and it's going to display the file name. We'll click OK, and you'll see if I click here, it's displaying the file name. This is the active file name up here. Now, these stamps are just based on symbols that have been defined, and you'll see if we look in the object browser, you can see both of those stamps have been imported from the default content folder, and they're now in this folder, so I can either edit these individually in this drawing, or I can edit them in the master definition folder. And that folder is in the libraries defaults VAA Multistamp folder, and the file is called VAA Stamp Defaults.mcd. Alright, let's take a look at a couple of other features of the tool. In this general overview, we'll look more closely in following movies how to do door and window numbering, and how to edit the stamps and so on. Let's take a look at, say, the room label 3 stamp. And this is a slightly more complex stamp. It's got 5 text fields in it. When you're defining the symbol, when you have create some text, you have to put #1, #2, #3, and so on. That just tells the tool that they're stamps or blocks of text that are going to be linked via the tool in Vectorworks. So this stamp it has a counter for number 1, it has a text string that we'll enter for number 2, number 3 is going to report the area, number 4 the perimeter, and number 5 is going to be the layer. Let's click OK, and for this we'll need to click on an object. You'll see when I take the cursor off an object we don't get that bullseye cursor, so that's an indication that this is a linked multi-stamp and it needs to be linked to something. So let's click on here and we'll say this is an office, and so what's happened is it's put an ID in there and it's picked up the area and the perimeter and the layer that this rectangle is on, and you can see here 32.6, 22.9 and so on, and the layer is level 3. So it's pulled that information out. Now of course if this information changes, this stamp is linked to this object here, so I would need to update this stamp for it to recognize the changes, and generally if I double click the stamp you can see it's telling me the content that it contains, and I can edit that here and click OK, and it's going to take a fresh look when it does that at the information that it's linked to, and you'll see that the area and perimeter have also changed. Now there are you can also use the update stamps button there to update specific stamps throughout the whole drawing. You don't have to do it on a case-by-case basis, and you can choose just to update individual stamps. For example, you might want to update the date and time stamp, so we'll select that, we'll click update selected stamp objects. If I click OK, obviously the date's not going to change but the time will change. Let's go with OK, and the time will change to 9:54. So you can begin to see that the tool has a lot of functionality. Let's take a look at what else have we got here, the X and Y coordinates one. So with this one we've got two text fields and a little cross. That's all that's been defined in the symbol. The number 1 is going to display the X coordinate and number 2 is going to display the Y coordinate. Let's go with that. So if I click here, there's X and Y for that location. If I click here, there's X and Y for that location. And as I use these stamps, the stamp objects are being imported into the drawing. You'll see here there are the 4 stamps that I've used. And to show you just how simple the stamp definition is, if I right click on this and choose edit, and we'll edit the 2D component and zoom in on that. Let's do a fit to objects. All we have here in the stamp definition is 2 lines, a block of text and a block of text. And the text is just #1 hash, #2 hash. That tells the multi-stamp tool that this is a text that needs to be linked to something as opposed to being just static text. And also you'll see that these things can be in a specific class if you want to have the layer dependency working as well. So let's exit the symbol, and basically that's the multi-stamp tool. A lot of flexibility. Actually, let's just have a quick look at the door and window numbering. We'll choose here, say the window with a small hexagon, and we might just want to have a quick look at this. We'll open the next dialog and we'll click on the counter and click edit and just check that it's going to start with number 1 with an interval of 1 and a prefix of 1. So I think that should all be okay, and we'll go with, again we'll need to have a leader line on here because we want to link this to there we are, W1, W2, W3 and so on. Now what this is doing in the background as well as putting that stamp on there, it's loading W1 into the data record of this window object. You'll see here that this is now ID1, and this is now ID2, and this is now ID3. So the tool is actually doing that. Now, yeah, we'll look at more closely into the door and window numbering in one of the following movies. But that gives you an overview of the Multistamp tool, and you can see that it does have a lot of flexibility in how you can use it.